right. Well, thanks, Jake, Kelly, and Ian. This is, again, something that's been a long time coming since we brought in Bushel Farm into the organization just about 2 years ago now. So now we're going to transition into our first buddy seat ride-along of the day. So as Jake framed up the day, he had, a ride-along with the grain merchandiser, the grain originator, ag retailer, accountant admin, and farmer. And our first ride-along is going to be with the farmer. So we're going to welcome Kellie Livernois back on stage to lead the ride-along here. I challenge any of you to find someone who is more passionate about farmers using farm management system and tools to help with their P&L on their farms than Kellie. For real, I challenge you. I don't think there's anyone out there that is more passionate, and I don't think there's a single person who talks to more farmers on a daily basis. So she's just a wealth of knowledge when it comes to helping farmers make that transition into using digital tools. So Kellie, take it away. We got a special guest here today.
Thank you, Camille. Yes. As most of us know, it's pretty hard to get a farmer too far from their fields about this time of year. We're lucky enough to have a few with us today that's going to come up and talk later with me on the panel. But today I have Matt Perreault from, hi Matt, joining us.
Hi Kellie, how you doing?
Good. He's joining us from Illinois, right along in the buddy seat with me today, and I'm really excited to have him. Matt, do you mind just doing a quick introduction and telling us a little bit about you and your farm?
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks again for having me. My name is Matt Perreault, and I'm going to be the fourth generation to operate our grain farm here in Kankakee, Illinois. We grow corn, soybeans, and wheat, and I've been using Bushel Farm to track rainfall totals and grain inventory levels since 2013. While we store a large percentage of our grain on site, I've always used Bushel Mobile to help monitor grain contracts as well as local cash bids. Heading into the 2021 growing season, I decided I thought I'd sign up for the business subscription to see if there was something else to be learned by tracking all of my financial inputs and outputs on every acre of our operation in one software package. My hope was that rather than utilizing spreadsheets and accounting software, that I'd be able to find the one tool that covered nearly all scenarios for our operation.
Actually, in the buddy seat, I appreciate that so much. I don't know who's next to you, but so you talked a little bit about making the leap to the business subscription. Do you mind, what was the thought process behind that, and knowing how long you've used it and when you made the jump?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, I plan to be the fourth generation to take over our family farm. And like many multi-generational operations, our farm has grown to the size to where it's going to take my wife and I many years to complete the transition financially. God willing, my parents are alive for many years to come. And one thing that my dad has always told me, and I always have in the back of my head, is regardless of how we transition our operation from one generation to the next, we need to make sure that it's profitable on both sides. Our family farm hasn't made it over 100 years by not being profitable. So it's not necessarily that I questioned, is our farm making money or not? But what I really wanted to dig into and understand was on a yearly basis, exactly how profitable were we in each field? What practices are really profitable that I should try to carry through as I make more of the decisions on our operation? And are there practices that maybe aren't as profitable that I should start to phase out someday? Ultimately, as I become the sole decision maker, my decisions are going to not only affect how profitable my family is, but how profitable I can keep my parents as they move deeper into their retirement age and we move through that buyout process. That's why I really made the decision to move up to the paid subscription.
That makes a lot of sense. There's so much talk about the succession planning, so I appreciate the insight. I hear a lot in my farmer conversations about that as well. So can you explain, specifically talking now Bushel products, how those help you in your farm operation?
Sure. So as you guys I'm sure have covered, there's a ton of them. So where do I start? But not to sound conceited, I feel like in the last 2 years, I've learned more financially about our operation than what the last 3 generations before me were able to understand altogether. My father was an early adopter of utilizing guidance systems, site verification, and yield data information within our operation, which I know you guys have talked a little bit about today. He actually bought our first yield monitoring system back in 2000. So as of this year, we have 23 years worth of data telling us what variety was planted where and how that variety performed against the competition. But what we hadn't really done since prior to 2021 was dug into each acre to see how far every dollar we invested into seed selection, tillage passes, fertilizer applications, and everything else involved in that growing season really paid off for us at the end of the year. How much did it cost to grow that bushel of corn on our Jensen farm? What was our real break-even price? And when should I start selling grain for our operation? Now I know those answers. Actually, what I've learned is I know them down to the last penny. At the end of the day, my dad and his dad just didn't have access to all the tools and the luxuries that I have today. With the Bushel Farm and Bushel mobile apps, all these tools and all this data is in one spot for me. And whether I'm on my phone in the field or at my computer, it's all right there, one click away.
And that's also a really big theme that I hear is about the organization and the collaboration and technology rather than what most people are doing today is spreadsheets, right? So that obviously resonates with you in the way of not having to go 15 different places and being able to actually share that across the farm, having it organized?
Yes, definitely. Having it all in one app, one click away is absolutely awesome. Actually, I just saw another example, but during harvest, when I'm hauling out, I'm always trying to track grain inventory levels to see how much we have left to haul. And then I'm adjusting those based off of our Bushel mobile app. How many bushels have we delivered? Now that you guys are launching coming up soon here, that everything is going to integrate automatically, it's going to be a whole new level of convenience.
I'm really excited about it too. Can you talk a little bit about using Bushel Farm for your marketing positions? I don't know if you were on and you saw that screen I showed, but the marketing position on a crop level and how that works for you.
Yes, definitely. So like I said earlier, having the ability to open up the app and only be a click away from the marketing tab, which I look at frequently, and it has my break-even price calculated right next to my current positions. It's great. All my contracts are there, and it shows that number right in front of me. It gives me a whole new level of confidence knowing that I am for sure selling for a profit. And I don't think I would have that without the Bushel Farm app. I don't know how I would. While we all love $6 and $7 corn, and I wish it was here to stay, I would imagine someday we're going to return to some lower grain price levels. And when that time comes, I'm going to have to make decisions. Is $3.70 for a bushel of corn really going to be profitable for me this year? Or do I need to try to start making, positions at $3.85 a bushel? I think it goes without saying that marketing very much in my anticipated production below a break-even price isn't ideal. So having all that information there makes it really, really easy to make those decisions.
That's great. And being one click away, do you think, I'm going to test my theory and what I've been hearing, that helps you feel more comfortable giving your offers to your grain buyer?
Yes. I mean, I think all farmers would agree that one of the toughest things that we have to do is marketing our grain at the end of the year. But having that contract information organized with exactly how many of my anticipated bushels are sold versus unprotected makes submitting offers deeper into my future production totals so much easier. And as long as the information that I have in there currently put in and the inventory levels I show are up to date, I know exactly how many bushels I have left to sell. This, again, like I said, gets even easier now that you guys have integrated the two systems.
Yeah. And I mean, speaking a little bit about the relationship or the tools from the grain buyer, how does the Bushel software kind of impact that?
So I would definitely rather do business with a grain buyer who's going to try and make my life easier and communicate with me more than somebody who is waiting for me to always come to them. Fortunately for me in this area, local elevators I've always worked with have adopted the Bushel app, and they've been using it for a long time. So it saves me a lot of time in the end. Being able to to view all my transaction information, deliveries. Instead of having to call and wait for somebody to email me a printout or mail it, it just makes doing office work so much quicker and easier. At the end of the day, I think most farmers would agree. We like to spend more days outside of the office than what we do in it. So when we do sit down in the office, I really like having all of the information right there at my fingertips when I need it.
Thank you. I appreciate that insight, Matt. And we posed the question earlier to the crowd, but I'm going to now kind of ask you to maybe elaborate on who's your favorite buddy seat passenger, or maybe who hasn't got to be there yet, but you'd like to be.
Sure. Well, and I know you made comment you weren't sure who was in the driver's seat, so that was me this spring, and I have my little buddy riding with me. But my son would be the number one. My son or my dad. We obviously all work together and absolutely love that. Then after that, any sort of a salesman or somebody who has sold us something that's to help us produce our crop. I actually enjoy having them in the tractor cab with me or in the combine cab with me. I know everyone may not agree with that, but to me, it's important that the people who are going to sell us the products and help us be successful see how what they sold us performs, whether that was good or bad. They're the ones that are there that need to help us be more profitable and make better decisions in the future.
I love that. Well, I'm not going to take much more of your time because you've got some wheat to harvest, I think, coming up pretty soon. Some prepping to do, so I'll let you go. But Matt, thank you so much for riding along with me today and talking to the crowd a little bit about your experience.
Sounds great. Thanks again for having me, Kelly.